Hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in to episode 44 of the Keep It Simple podcast, where my goal is to give you as much value as possible in 5 minutes or less every single day. So today, I had already recorded the episode, and then I remembered that I had quite a juicy meeting lined up. So I thought, I won't use that. I'll have the meeting, see how that goes, and then decide whether I'm going to use the episode or not. Turns out the meeting was juicy as anticipated, so decided to scrap that episode. I'll do it at another stage, but for today I thought I would talk about your value, your worth, your integrity, etc. And accountability. So just a little bit of context. I had a person that I know contact me saying that they wanted some advice on a business proposition. So I said, yeah, sure, let's have a chat. I wouldn't call this guy a friend. I'd say he's probably more of an acquaintance. We've known each other for a while, but I thought, yeah, we'll have a chat. What's the worst case scenario? I say it's a good idea or a bad idea, so whatever. So yeah, we had the chat. We scheduled the call, and I said to him, "Well, send me some information before we have the call, so at least I'm a little bit prepared." And he sent over the information, and it was very high level, like very, very high level, which is fine. I thought, well, okay. We'll get into the nitty-gritty and nuts and bolts over the phone. So started having the call, and he was keeping everything really high level again, and I was going, yeah, but this is all very high level. Like, we need the nuts and bolts. You need to get into some kind of detail here for me to then be able to decide for me to then be able to give you an idea of whether this is a good idea or not, kind of thing. But he refused to get into any sort of level of detail. I mean, like, if you can imagine how the meeting went, it was literally like, what's your idea? For example, it's a social media platform. Cool. Tell me more. Well, it's a social media platform. Okay. What does it do? Well, it's for people to socialize. Like, this is the sort of level that it was at, and I was kind of going, fucking hell, pal. Like, if you want me to give you some kind of advice or tell you what the business proposition is, whether the business proposition is any good, you're going to have to give me a bit more than that. And he refused to get into any sort of detail. I don't know if he was scared I was going to steal his idea or what, but it got to the point where I was like, well, I can't help you unless you give me details. So, and then I kind of left it at that. And I just kept quiet, and probably about 15-20 seconds, and then it was kind of those whoever talks next loses situations. And he then said, okay, well, let's go into a little bit of detail. And then he started going into like the numbers, and I mean, within like 2 sentences I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Your numbers don't come together. It's all just like guesswork, really. You don't have any sort of tangible information for me to use in order to then give you any sort of advice as to whether this is a good idea or not. And it got to the point where the two of us almost had an argument. Not really an argument, but it got to the point where I was like, well, I'm not going to give you any sort of advice if you don't give me any detail. I can't say, oh yeah, run away with it and go for it, and then next minute it's a load of shit, and that's my reputation at risk there. And I'm not saying that I've got the most credible reputation in the world, but at the same time, like, you got to protect your reputation. I mean, he goes away and says, oh, Byron said this is a great idea, invest in it, and next minute he's fucking dead broke and living on the street, and he put all his eggs into one basket based on what I said, which is stupid. So I guess the point I'm trying to get across today is that it's quite nice for when people ask you for advice. It makes you feel like you're important and stuff, and you're quite eager to give that advice. You want to be heard. You want to have an opportunity to show that, yeah, I'm quite intelligent, I know what I'm talking about, kind of thing. But you got to be really careful when you start giving advice, because that's your reputation, that's your credibility at risk. So make sure that when you do give advice, you've got all of the information needed to give a sound, solid piece of advice, rather than like jumping at the opportunity to be heard and then risking looking like an asshole, because it's a tricky road, and it's very difficult to come back from if you've given shit advice and it's impacted someone's life very, very negatively. You'll have a tough time bringing back or having anyone else trust you from that point forward. So that's today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe, give us a like, all that good stuff. Just remember to keep it simple, and I'll chat to you again tomorrow. You could be a day away. Cheers. Bye.